Welcome to Mind Yourself, a podcast sharing real-life stories from real people, alongside conversations about mental health and emotional well-being. Listener discretion is advised, as this episode may include themes some listeners may find distressing. Wherever you're joining us from, whether you're walking, driving, or taking a quiet moment for yourself, you're very welcome here. Let's get started. We welcome Lorraine Hogan to the Mind Yourself podcast here at Four Swans Therapy and Wellness Centre. Welcome, Lorraine.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Great. So, Lorraine, you are the founder and director of Women's Wellness Festivals and Wellbeing events. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Okay, so yes, I am the founder of Festival Mná, which is Ireland's only women's festival. It happens once, possibly twice a year. And basically it's a celebration of women where 1,000 women come together to create Ireland's only and biggest women's circle. Well, not only, but biggest women's circle. And we just celebrate everything about women. It happens on Mná Movement, which is January 6th, Little Christmas for Women. So we just want to celebrate, I suppose, ourselves for being incredible, because we are. And also come back to, I suppose, our culture, our Irish culture and our heritage and our land. It was really important that we came back to our land as well. So it's been going now for 5 years and been a huge success. And each year it's like building more and more momentum and just getting, more and more people involved and coming together in the community and just allowing, I suppose, women a platform to be able to celebrate themselves and share their gifts and, any kind of modalities that they love to share, that they practice themselves and share that gift with other women on how to be and live in this day and age, because we all know how difficult it is for women, to continue to strive and to continue to lead. And I think women are really stealing the show these days and everything that they're creating in business, in wellness, in everything, as mothers, as even as leaders. It's incredible. So yeah, really
it's something
honoured.
that you have your own first-hand experience of, Lorraine, trying to balance full-time work, motherhood, single motherhood.
Yeah.
And also you speak publicly on your social media about menopause.
I do.
And supporting women through menopause.
Yeah.
I suppose there was a point where you felt it was just getting too much, that you were starting to burn out, trying to balance everything. Can you tell us a little bit about your own personal experience of that?
So I suppose when I recognised it in myself, it would have been probably after COVID, kind of actually, yeah, just after COVID had hit. I was just feeling huge pressure. I was coming to 41, 42 as well, so really perimenopausal, but not really aware of it at that point. More so now in hindsight, looking back, saying, oh my God, I had all the symptoms, but I was just putting it down to almost burnout, or putting it down to just being a little bit stressed, I suppose. As a single parent of 3 kids, my son was really unwell at the time, so he was suffering with a lot of mental health. Like he attempted suicide, so it was a really difficult time for us. And I was working full time. I was trying to, hold together a business that had just began, and it was just really, I was just like, I actually can't do all of this anymore. I just need, something has to give. And for me at that time, I just needed support, and I didn't have it. Like, I was obviously getting support from my job with counselling and stuff like that. I work as a social care worker as well with young offenders. So, very challenging situations in work. So it's kind of coming at me from all angles. And I was just like, no, I'm just depleting myself here. So that's when I kind of set up my business, and I set up my first women's circle. And it was like, right, okay, what can I do? And I kind of just meditated with it, and it kind of just came to me, right, okay, Lorraine, create a space for women, to support women who are struggling with mental health, struggling with supporting children with mental health, or struggling with supporting their partner or anyone with mental health. So that was the reason why I set it up in the first place. And from there kind of just built and grew. And I suppose I was already a yoga teacher, I was already a life coach. I had done all these over the last decade or so. I was a PT, I was a nutritional coach, and all of these modalities kind of came into force. But for me, it was a full, you can eat well, you can exercise every day, you can meditate, but if your mind and even if your heart because obviously you carry so much pain and grief when you're trying to help your own child.
Yeah.
You know, it was very difficult for me. So it was like you needed that 360 healing, that 360 availability of healing our whole body. So that's kind of when cacao came into my life and stuff like that, you know, more of a healing, deeper healing medicine. So.
Thank you for sharing that about your son's struggles. How did his difficulties and that experience impact you, and how did you find strength during that difficult time?
So really turning up each week at the beach for a women's circle, that was it. Every week we were able to go. I was able to go, obviously I was holding the space, but listening to other women and listening to their struggles. So it kind of, when you're listening in a circle to what other people are going through, it's like one girl in particular, she was going through a cancer journey, and so like my troubles felt so much less than hers, almost, because she was actually terminally ill. She was going to die, and we were going through that journey with her. So it was, you know, it just makes you feel so much more comfort when you feel like, you know, we're not alone. We're all struggling to be a parent. We're all struggling to be a woman. We're all struggling to show up each and every day, but yet we continue to come in our droves to support each other because we're women, because we have that empathy, and because we have that knowing that you're the same as me and I see in you what you see in me, you know, that strength of being a woman. And that is our superpower. I say that all the time. That is our superpower. We are women. We know what's going on. We know the struggle it takes to get here today, you know. So I suppose that's kind of what kept me going, was just showing up each week at that circle. And from then, obviously, my son did get better, and with a lot of support, and he's doing really, really well now. So for me, it was just, support by other women, empowered by other women.
It sounds like that whole period of your life really taught you a lot about how important it is to support each other and give and receive the support. Yeah. So that was behind your idea to turn this into a business?
To turn it into a bigger festival. Yeah. I already had my wellness coach business at that time. So yeah, I was in a meditation one night, and it was like, Lorraine, you have to do this on a bigger scale. You have to bring the women of Ireland together. You have to do it in the heart of Ireland, and you have to do it for Mná Movement. And that was a clear vision, a clear message download, or whatever we want to call it in the spiritual world. But that was it. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had no experience in event management, although I was able holding little circles and cacao ceremonies and yoga retreats at that time, but not to the scale of a huge festival. So yeah, I truly believe I was divinely guided to do this kind of work and to bring the women together, and everything just kind of fell into place. So it's here we are 6 years later, still developing and growing and learning. It's still, every day is a learning day, as I say. But yeah, hugely proud of myself, because even for myself, from on my own journey, I suffered a lot with self-confidence, you know, growing up, and even up to 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to say my name even in a meeting. We'd have a meeting in work, and I'd be like terrified to have to speak at the meeting and stuff like that. So I had to do so much work on myself and put myself into these situations to be able to speak in front of 1,000 women, and to be able to not only speak, but to be able to be a leader and encourage them to be their own strong self, you know, and empower them to be themselves. So it's a complete turnaround for me, and every time I do, I just get so emotional and overwhelmed that of my own strength, you know, and reminding you that, you know, you can actually do anything that you put your mind to. You just have to keep doing it. And, you know, even the women that I'd coach, I would say, like, they'd say, oh, I'm just waiting to be ready, you know, to be ready to maybe hold space with cacao or whatever. And I say, you're never going to confidence isn't going to arrive at your door and say, I'm here. Confidence is a thing that you will build through taking action. And, you know, you have to take the action to get the confidence, and your voice will be trembling, and you'll be scared, and you'll be hot flushes and everything coming through you. But the more you do it, the more confident you'll become, the more easy it becomes. And that's the only way you can actually get confidence at anything, I feel.
It's such an incredible achievement, Lorraine, to not only overcome your own challenges, but to then take what you've learned to help other women.
Yeah.
You probably never imagined that Festival Mná would be as big as what it is now. Can you tell people listening what it's like to attend Festival Mná or similar? What happens at these events?
So it's an absolutely amazing day out for women. It's all wellness, well-being. We have like anything from a yoga class to a Pilates class to a breathwork to twerking. We have belly dancing. So we bring the full fun element into it as well. We also bring, obviously, it's so cultural, so we love to have the Irish cultural element as well. So you might have a hawthorn tea ceremony, or we might have a talk about, the trees of Ireland and what they represent, or goddess energy, Aru, and bringing it back to all the goddesses of Ireland. What else? Cacao ceremonies. We have tattoos. We have a tattoo parlor. We have piercings. You can get your dreadlocks put in. So it's kind of a combination of so much. You can Reiki healing, the saunas. There's loads for the kids to do. Menopause talks, talks on empowerment, talks on money management, talks on addiction. Again, we try and change and keep it very relevant for what women need to hear. It's all about what women need to hear and basically coming together. And in the middle of it, we all stop and have the big circle where I'll speak at the circle and bring everyone together, and then we always dance, and it's so much fun. You've probably seen the videos, but it really is just...
It looks absolutely amazing.
It's a great day out, and it is just fun-filled. And I think the important thing is, like, we really say, come on your own and you'll leave with friends. And just the connection that people make on the day.
I love the idea that women can go by themselves, that it's a safe venue for them, and that they can go along without somebody and meet new people.
And we do carpooling, and people come together, and they become best friends after Festival Mná. So it's really it is overwhelming at times, and it's so inspiring to see what you create, and you sometimes forget because you're like, actually, did I do that?
And what sort of feedback do you get from women who attend then? What do they get
emotional. The feedback is so emotional, like it really is. A girl, she was actually at it this year, and she was at a breathwork, and so she had a kind of a panic attack. She suffers with panic attacks, severe panic attacks, and I know that from my son, when it's really bad, it's so hard to control their nervous system. But she was in the breathwork, and so she was beginning to have a panic attack, and but she continued to go through it. And the breathwork afterwards, she said, completely, she had like an absolute download to say, this is what you need to do. She had an emotional, like, kind of breakdown almost, but feeling amazing that she overcame the panic attack through her breath. So there was a big release, there was a big scream at the end of it. So she just felt like everything was coming out of her body, that she was releasing everything. And the next day she done a brilliant TikTok about it. She researched into the breathwork. It was a Wim Hof. So she done it again the next day, and she was like, oh my God, she cannot believe how much it's actually cured her panic attack since then. And she still talks about it on TikTok. Like, so for if you can help one person to that extent to change her life, you're doing a good job, I always feel. But so many other women like that, and just women, like, they'd be a little bit older and probably never experienced this kind of wellness before, or never experienced the likes of twerking, or we have flower crown making, and they're just really throwing themselves in and getting involved in all the fun aspects. We have the brat breeds where you make your scarf. So we have women that have come every year for 6 years now, and they sew in their brat breed symbols, the Celtic symbols, into their scarf, and so they have a little piece from each time that they've been at the festival, which is just empowering and incredible for me, because this is an ancient tradition that was lost from St. Bridget's Day, and my grandmother would have had a brat breed, but it's just an ancient tradition that was lost, and now it's come back because of the festival. So amazing.
It sounds lovely. It sounds really fun and also very powerful for women. So it sounds great. Why do you think it is that connection and community are so important for women right now?
I just think like life has just got, like, I think during COVID we did get a little moment to pause and come back, where we didn't have all these places to be and things to do, and you know, we did have a bit of time to reflect. But since then we've kind of, I think it's got busier, and we've just added, it's like as if we didn't take any lessons from that, and our schedule is just packed. Like, I look at my Google calendar and it's just like, you know, I can tell you almost what I'm doing now, even into next June. Do you know, it's, and I know we're business women and we've a lot of things on, and obviously you have to pre-plan. But I just think life is so busy at the moment that women aren't giving themselves any time, and they're not, you know, allowing themselves a couple of moments every day. I always say, fill your own cup first. As soon as you get up, set your alarm, get up earlier, give yourself a little time, if it's a cacao or herbal tea, or even just a 10-minute meditation or journal, and just to sit with yourself and check in and ask, how am I? How do I feel today? You know, and obviously we have our own hormonal cycle as well to deal with. We have children, we have financial issues, you know, you have demands from being in relationships or demands from the children, and you know, you're trying to split yourself into so many different places, and you're being pulled in so many different directions. We hate to say no, you know, so we're always over compensating and depleting ourselves by saying yes to everybody. Like, you know, we are people pleasers. We do want to make sure that the house is clean, the dinner's cooked, that they're eating nutritionally, that we're eating nutritionally, that we're getting the Pilates in, that, you know, we're bringing the kids here, there and everywhere. And it's just, there's so much out there now that we need, more than ever, we need to take time out for ourselves, and we need to take time out to come together and talk about that and say, you know, I am overwhelmed at the moment, you know, I'm not superwoman. I might have superpowers, but I'm not superwoman, you know. And I think the more that women can do that, I think that empowers them to say, actually, do you know what, you need to say no to that, or actually, do you know what, you don't need to get up and look like that, or you don't need to do 6 Pilates classes a week just to have a six-pack. You know, it's not real life. So I think social media has a lot got to do with it as well, you know, that unrealistic image that we were all trying to adhere to. And I think our children are even suffering even more. My daughter anyway, you know, with the impact social media is having, this perfect lifestyle that looks amazing on social media, but it's not real. You know, so
there's definitely a lot of pressure on women at the moment, and one of the spaces that you hold is for women who are navigating perimenopause. There's a lot of negativity surrounding perimenopause, isn't there, on social media and in the general media? And I think part of your message is to show women that this phase of life is not necessarily an ending, but a new beginning.
Yeah. I feel like there's still a lot of stigma attached to perimenopause. Like, even with my sisters, I've 5 sisters, and we're all like stepping stones. So they'd be from 40 now, coming up to 45, and I'm 47. But like, they have symptoms, and I'd say, you know, oh, that's definitely, you know, go to doctor, get your bloods done. It's definitely perimenopausal symptoms. They'd be like, they're even in denial. No, that's just a buzzword, Lorraine. That's, you know, they're in denial because ageism is a huge thing. I think, you know, accepting that, yes, we are changing, you know, we're coming to this, I'd say, like this, the wise woman kind of space in our life. It's more of a yin energy, it's more of a feminine energy. And once you kind of embrace it and accept it, it feels amazing, because we've been in this do masculine energy for so long. To be allowing yourself to just allow is just a much nicer space to be in. So I just think the conflict in information, a lot of it's conflicting. So it's understanding your body is probably the most important thing that you can do. Start tracking, you know, how you're feeling. Track it on a daily basis, even track it on a monthly basis, and see how you feel. And, you know, see if you can see signs like, oh my God, I was like that on, you know, 3 weeks ago, or, you know, feeling really low mood, feeling rage, feeling, you know, hopeless, because the range of emotions that we feel is crazy. Like, you know, I know for me, like, I'm on HRT at the moment, so it has really worked for me. And again, it's optional if you choose that route. There is natural ways, but I would highly recommend going down the HRT route if your symptoms are unmanageable. But I know and again, it's still a trial and error. I'm altering it sometimes on a say couple of months basis, that I feel dark thoughts coming into my mind, and I'm like, right, okay, my estrogen is low because this isn't my normal baseline, or I'm feeling that overwhelm or that rage. Again, it's like, right, okay, have I been putting on my gel every morning? Am I taking my testosterone properly? So it's really is a trial and error, but your body is going to tell you. So it's really a matter of connecting to how you're feeling and tracking how you're feeling, because that's going to be the biggest sign, and that's going to be how you can navigate through this and understand it and just say, no, I'm not losing my mind, because you feel like you're losing your mind. You're actually just going through perimenopause. It's a hormonal.
And what do you think are some of the positive sides to perimenopause that aren't talked about enough?
Yeah, the positive sides is that you really don't give any more fucks. That's probably one of the best ones. And you do, like, your whole body changes. I think you become into a more accepting version of yourself, where you're just like, in your 20s and 30s, you really wanted to be this, vision. Whereas now it's just like, what? I actually love all of myself. I love my body. I love my mind. I think we're incredible as women. We obviously, my children are older. I've accepted that I'm not going to have any more children, and I'm happy to be a mother now, and to even share with my daughter, this is how us as women will grow, I suppose, and understand ourselves a little bit more. Like, she would be very tapped into having a chart thing for her periods, and all these apps that you can get, which weren't out in our day. But I think it's empowering when you accept it fully and you feel that sense of empowerment. It is empowering.
There are some misconceptions about holistic and spiritual practices, aren't there? Some people might consider them a bit hippie or a bit woo-woo. What's your perspective on that?
I suppose for people that aren't in this world at all, it would feel a little bit, what are you talking about when you're talking about energy, or you're talking about, cacao, a chocolate drink that you drink, or you're talking about healing kind of, or even breathworks. People wouldn't even be familiar with like a breathwork or, those practices. I think it's talked about a lot more. I do a lot of corporate stuff now, and I would bring a little bit of, I would do cacao ceremonies at corporate events, so I definitely think it's opening up a little bit more, because people are looking for other ways as opposed to the medicated route. People are looking for more natural ways. People are looking for everyday tools that they can use, as opposed to feeling, overwhelmed or feeling so out of sorts. They are looking for a tool that they can use every day. And if you can keep it as simple as you can, and know, like, almost know your audience when you're speaking with people or when you're working at these corporate events, I do think that they're coming around, to more of an open-minded way of thinking, of trying different routes of helping yourself, really. And ultimately that's what these tools are here for. They're here to help yourself, and make you feel stronger, make you feel calm your nervous system, make you feel more in your body. And that's ultimately what we want to do, is be in that present moment and feel embodied in the moment, even though people that are a little bit more logical thinking would probably still think that that's woo-woo. But
Lorraine, one of your key messages to women is that looking after their well-being is non-negotiable, but yet they really do struggle to prioritise themselves a lot of the time, don't they? Why do you think that is, and how can women better support themselves?
Yeah, I was at an event there recently up in Belfast with 100 women, and each time I was just asking for an intention, like, what are you here for today? What's your intention? And I'd say 80% of them was to just get a break away or to do something for myself. So I really feel women I think it could be down to either not having the time or not just not prioritizing themselves, as you say, just constantly having to do everything for everyone all the time first, and then they come last on the list. Like, it's something a message I push. That's why I push always the message: fill your own cup first. Do it first thing in the morning. 10 minutes out of 24 hours, 15 minutes out of 24 hours isn't selfish. You know, it's something that you really need to do, and you will reap the benefits if you do it for 21 days. I do 21-day dieta challenges with women, and the difference in 10 to 15 minutes a day for 21 days, how much that makes you feel more in control of your life. Like, it's you taking back control before the day starts. It's starting the day with you filling your own cup first, and then allowing and giving and giving and giving to everyone else. By the end of the day, it's depleted. Next morning you fill it back up, you know, and that's the way it works. Because if you're constantly giving, then you become resentful, you become so fatigued and overwhelmed and stressed that you actually become sick, you know. And so that's the message here, is we need to look after our health, to be strong for our children, to be strong for our partners. So we have to fill our own cup first. So then them 10-15 minutes every morning is what I would strongly recommend any women that are listening here that are struggling to try. And if it's just a YouTube meditation, if it's just lighting an incense, if it's just sitting in the garden, you know, it doesn't have to cost, it doesn't have to be anything woo woo, it doesn't have to be out of the ordinary. Just actually sitting and asking yourself, how do I feel now? What do I need today? Those simple questions, and just listening. And you might feel absolutely drained, you might feel absolutely stressed out with the day that you have. It's accepting what answer comes back, you know, and not judging yourself. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel stressed. It's like, right, okay, this is how I feel now. Right, what can I eliminate? What can I take from the day? You know, I don't have to do all of this. Some of it is going to have to go into the next day, or some of it is just getting scrapped altogether, because that's where we need to be. And I think being perimenopausal and going through that stage of your life, you're much easier able to just say, no, gone, scrap, without any guilt, you know, or fear. But a lot of women still feel that pressure of not actually allowing themselves to do that.
There's a lot of good girl conditioning and people pleasing in this generation as well, isn't there? Which is
cultural
deep rooted.
Yeah, definitely a cultural thing. But it's something that, again, that we need to work at and be aware of. Like, if we look at our own mothers and look at the women within our lineage, and are they all people pleasers? Are they all just you know, say nothing? You know, better to be just, you know, a good girl, you know, and pleasing everybody. But it doesn't work, because they didn't have the stresses we have, and they don't have the to-do list that we had.
True. Lorraine, I want to ask you about Lorraine the businesswoman, or the Lorraine the entrepreneur. What's that journey been like for you?
It's been exciting, challenging, but it's been, like, I suppose I've done a lot of business coaching myself. So I have had a business coach for many years, and for me to be able to look at I suppose what it is I wanted to create and have it as a sustainable business was really important to me. I always said by 50 I'd leave. I've been a social care worker for 22 years. So by 50, my plan was always to leave and have my own business. So I'm on track to do that. I'm only 3 years left, and then I'll retire and then step into, obviously, my own business that I've created. But it has a lot of challenges. I think financially, you know, you need to be in a position to support yourself. And as a single mother, it's really, really difficult to be able to support yourself while supporting a business, you know, because we're not making that much money, especially at the beginning in business. You know, it's quite hard. So it really has to be your passion and your purpose, and stay driven and motivated to show up each and every time and each and every day in business. I think I've been lucky enough that I have a few different businesses. I've 3 different businesses, so I have different sources of income, and then I still work. So apart from being a workaholic, I have been able to, I suppose, manage that. So for any women out there that are looking to create businesses, I'd say definitely do it. If it's something that you have passion and purpose for, I would 100% recommend that you create your own business, because there's nothing more satisfying than actually bringing together your own creations and, you know, showing up every day for that. But again, you do definitely need that drive and probably support along the way, because we know ourselves how hard it is. You know, the commitment is huge. The hours that you don't see, you know, that people don't see, and people think, oh my God, you just created a festival, you know, that's amazing. But it's all the hours that go in behind it. And I'm really blessed to have an incredible team behind me as well, all women. So Siobhan and Ellie, they're amazing, and they really support me. So in order to, I think, have an incredible business, you need to have an amazing team behind you. And my partner, he's incredible at supporting. He has his own business as well. So I'm lucky enough in that sense that me and my kids almost support me now. I'm not that weird mom.
Is there anything exciting coming up that you can tell us about, Lorraine?
Yeah, I suppose the next Festival Mná event will come up. It'll be the 8th of the 8th. So it's the Lions Portal. It's a manifesting day. It's a huge day for manifesting in the year. And then I have a retreat actually coming up in Nerca in Spain. So that'll be announced by the end of the week. So that's going to be a yoga retreat. So that's amazing. Yeah, so excited.
Where can people contact you to get more information about these events?
They can contact me on Instagram at The Wellness Coach 2020 or Festival Mná, or my website is The Wellness Coach 2020. Yeah.
Lorraine, you're doing absolutely incredible work and helping so many people. Has your work changed your own perspective on life and how you see it and what's important to you?
It completely has, yeah. Because, I mean, when you're working, being of service, I suppose, to people, and being of service specifically to women, I just have a huge calling to help and empower other women because of my own journey. And I just really feel like when you get feedback, and, you know, when you see somebody that really has struggled, and when you see them actually come into their power, or really, you know, own who they are, and you know, it's incredible. It really is incredible. And I just think the more we can do that together, you know, and support each other, it's just the better our lives will be as women. And one of the huge things I would say is like competition over our collaboration over competition all the time. So collaborating and coming together, because, you know, we're not each other's competition. And I think that's another big part of perimenopause, that we don't see other women as competition anymore. We actually see other women as our support network, and that's incredible. That's where it should have always been. But, you know, as we grow up, we're not as secure in ourselves to actually understand that and notice that. But when we actually, I think, hit our 40s, we're just like, actually, no, we're all here together, and these women are actually going to support me, and I can feel that. And that's for me, is just the satisfaction of doing the work that I do. So
you're such a busy woman, and as I say, doing so much for others. Lorraine, how do you find time, or what do you do to mind yourself?
Well, I love the gym, so exercise for me is absolute therapy. I also would sit with cacao or plant medicine every day, just to that's my time. So every morning I sit, I journal, I reflect, you know, I acknowledge, I accept, and that kind of sets me up for the day. And, you know, if I really feel like I need like a little bit more therapy, you know, sometimes one of my favorite other therapies would be like just a couple of glasses of wine and watching Fawlty Towers. Like, that is just my escape. Get my phone away and just laugh and have a little, you know. So I have different things that I do. Sea swimming as well, cold water therapy would be huge, and saunas. I love that. Just walking, sometimes just walking in nature, or just grounding in nature. But like, I would be strict on trying to do gym or yoga every day, movement of any sort, and then my morning routine, 100%. That's kind of me. Just spending time with people that you love, your family and your kids.
Thank you very much for coming on to the show, Lorraine Hogan.
Thanks for having me.
That is it for today's episode of Mind Yourself. If something in this conversation has resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it, because these are the conversations that matter. Don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the podcast, a quick rating or review really helps us to reach more people. So until next time, mind yourself.